Welcome to our power partners. This is our informational playground, Starstyle-Be the Star You Are. We're coming to the airwaves on the Voice America Network, the Empowerment Channel, and we're under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity. I am your host, Cynthia Brian, and I am always so happy to be with you today. What we are going to be talking about are a couple of fun things. Well, maybe the second one might not be so fun, but it's necessary. In our first second, segment, we'll be talking about mocktails because members of Gen Z are drinking less alcohol than any previous generation, and they're gathering friends to enjoy these delicious, fancy mocktails. So we'll find out why buzz-free beverages are taking off. And then in segment two, it's all about house cleaning and how to keep our houses clean without polluting our bodies, because studies are revealing that the air inside our houses is worse than the air outside. So we don't want to add to that pollution by using unnecessary or dangerous chemicals to clean our house. So I have a few tips on how to disinfect and have your home sparkling clean without the use of harmful products. The miracle moment for today is brought to you by Be the Star You Are charity, the nonprofit of the year. Visit bethestarur.org. Well, talking about mocktails, several years ago, well, actually, it would have been in 2009 when Be the Star You Are hosted its 10th anniversary. We had a really big party, but since we're all about teens and youth, we didn't serve alcohol, but we made all these really fancy, pretty mocktails. And it's interesting because I hadn't really heard too much about it then, but we put together all kinds of fun things that were, that tasted good and looked good. They just didn't have that alcohol buzz because we had, it was a lot, many hundreds of young people that were there. But now, mocktails have become a really, really big thing. Because, normally when we gather with our friends or loved ones, we raise a celebratory flute of champagne. Sometimes we meet up for beers or with colleagues, after work. That might be something kind of common for a lot of people of a legal drinking age. But alcohol consumption has really waned among certain groups in recent years. And the 2023 Gallup poll found a 10% decline in alcohol drinking over the past 2 decades. And that was reported by adults in the United States ages 18 to 34. Now, the interesting statistic that was found in that Gallup poll was that alcohol consumption among adults who were 55 and older, however, went up 10%. So maybe they're not so willing to give it up. But in general, wine and beer sales are decreasing, with wine down about 6% in 2024 compared to the year before. And my daughter, who is a sommelier and a wine educator and does lots of podcasts and educational seminars about wine and works in a major winery, has reported that as well, is that the wine drinking is down. Now, the theories as to why Gen Z supposedly are those born sometime between 1997 and 2012. Now, I think that could contain some millennials in there too, but anyway, that's we talk about that's Gen Z. Well, Gen Z actually is millennials. So they're drinking less, and their drinking varies, and the potential causes range from a cultural shift to the legalization of marijuana, but the health impacts of alcohol use are really a consideration for drinkers of any age. In January, the Office of the Surgeon General issued an advisory about the causal link between alcohol and the risk of developing at least 7 different types of cancer, warning that alcohol consumption is the third leading preventable cause of cancer in the United States after tobacco and obesity. Hmm. So, although recommendations for alcohol use have traditionally advised no more than 1 drink a day for women and 2 for men, studies are showing that any amount of alcohol could cause some health concerns. And alcohol consumption affects many of our organs, in fact, most of them, mainly the liver. And it's also said that if you drink earlier in life and you continue to drink, the damage can persist and build up. Now, if you cut out alcohol, start following a nutritious diet, and exercise regularly, um, the studies show that you are more likely to recover from your liver damage. So, stopping is ideal, but if people drink wisely and have a healthy lifestyle, then you could have a good balance. But the buzz-free beverages really are taking off. So, in addition to health concerns, people may not drink for religious or cultural reasons, or sometimes they might be in recovery, or sometimes they don't even enjoy the taste. Like, I mean, I grew up, on a farm and a ranch, but my whole family was in the wine industry, and being Italian, wine is always a part of meals. And supposedly we had wine in baby bottles. I don't know if that is true. However, I never liked it, and it wasn't until my mid to late 30s that I started kind of liking wine, even though in my 20s, I was named the national wine queen for the whole United States, representing the wine industry, and I didn't even drink wine. And it was so interesting because people would always ask me what was the best wine, what should we buy? And I said, whatever you drink is the best wine in the world, and whatever you like. Because that's what my grandfather, who was a winemaker, wine master, and a manager of a major winery in Napa Valley, had always told us. So I kind of just followed that advice. But whatever the cause, interest in non-alcoholic beverages, I was really on the rise. And on menus, it always just says NA, an NA drink market. And that is projected to grow by more than 7% from this year to 2034. And that category includes soft drinks, juice, tea, coffee, bottled water, and functional drinks. That could be energy drinks, relaxation drinks, or improved performance drinks. But specifically, sales of non alcoholic wine, beer, and spirits increased threefold from 2019 to 2023. So, with more people leaning into an alcohol light lifestyle, it is not surprising that more restaurants and bars are adding to their non alcoholic options, and they include mocktails that are very picturesque, and they're really so pretty that a lot of people are including them in their social media feed. People really do appreciate a mocktail menu rather than just going to a bar or a restaurant and having to have a soft drink. So, the interest in these mocktails has just really, really increased. Now, people are trying to get healthier, obviously, trying to exercise more, they're trying to feel better, and reducing their alcohol intake is definitely a part of that. But what do you need to really make a nice mocktail? I am noticing in many of the magazines, like Food and Wine and Bon Appetit and the different home lifestyle magazines that I subscribe to, that more mocktail recipes are being included. And it's really interesting to see, and they're just beautifully photographed. So, some of the elements of a mocktail, it's the same kind of things that people look for in an alcoholic a cocktail. They want it to have balance, complexity, bite, and aesthetics. And so, it's a good idea to integrate herbs and spices for the functional aspect and create a really nice, intense flavor. because a simple drink isn't going to give you that same feel as drinking a cocktail because alcohol's so intense, there's even a burn when you drink it. So you could utilize some teas for a variety of flavors and caffeinating effects. And of course, beverage presentation is critical. You want to serve a mocktail in nice glassware. That always elevates the drink, as does using different rims like sugar or salts, citrus peels, zest. You can add some syrups and extracts. You could use olive brine and pickle juice because, a lot of other ingredients. I've seen a lot, and I like doing putting some flowers in it. You could put violets or nasturtiums. Obviously, it has to be edible flowers, things that are not poisonous or toxic. But here's a glossary of terms that might help you. So, ABV means alcohol by volume, and it signifies how much alcohol is in a drink. Now, adaptogens, these are natural substances that can produce calming or energizing effects. If it says alcohol removed and de-alcoholized, that means alcohol has been removed through a scientific process. Functional beverages, that means drinks with added benefits like relaxation or better gut health. Imitation spirits, that's an analog of like vodka, gin, etc. Now, low alcohol, the Wine and Spirit Education Trust defines low alcohol wines as wines under 11% ABV. Now, there is not a consensus about how low alcohol spirits can be, but Food and Wine magazine that I was talking about suggests that the label means between 10% and 30% of ABV. Now, mocktails. When I think the word is great, but if there's a really a contentious term for specially crafted mixed drinks that is similar in appearance to a cocktail made with alcohol. So other names that you might see are called abstinence drinks, dry cocktails, faux tails, or even spirit-free cocktails. So a lot of people don't like to use the mocktails. Non-alcoholic in the United States, anything that's less than 0.5% is considered non-alcoholic. And nootropics, that's substances that can enhance cognitive skills. Ready to drink beverages are those that are canned or bottled products. And zero proof or 0.0%, this means it contains no alcohol because either the product was never fermented or it has had its alcohol removed. So if you are trying either to cut back on alcohol or you don't like alcohol or for any religious or cultural reasons you don't want to drink it, but when you go out you want to enjoy something that's pretty, look on menus now to see if you can see any of these non-alcoholic specialty drinks. The interesting thing that I have found is they cost just as much pretty much as an alcoholic drink, but there is a lot of love and attention going into it. Well, that's the end of our segment one. You're listening to Cynthia Brian. This is Star Style. Be the star you are. We'll be back in a bit and we're going to clean the house. Just cleaning the house, cleaning the house. Don't go away. Well, we're back, and thank you for staying tuned to Star Style Be the Star You Are. I am your host, Cynthia Brian, and I realized that when I did my pre segment one, I said I was going to do a miracle moment, and I didn't do it. Well, here it is. It is brought to the airwaves from Be the Star You Are. Visit Be the Star You Are at bethestaryouare.org. This is from Jim Rohn, a man who, a very great philosopher and writer who was on my show several times and has since passed to the great beyond, but what a wonderful, wonderful author. What he says is, don't spend major time doing minor things. Think about it. Don't spend major time doing minor things. Well, that probably is a good lead in to this segment that's all about house cleaning. Now, a lot of people look at it as a minor thing. I like having a really clean house because it makes me just feel like I'm more organized. I can get a lot more done. And so I want to give some tips on how to clean your house safely. Today and yesterday, I've actually been power washing my patio, which my son had given my husband and I a power washer as a gift, and it stopped working. And then so I had to get another one that's not as powerful, and it's taking me forever. So it's actually killing my back, but boy, does it look good after the brick is washed. It makes you feel so good. Well, getting back to the house inside, though, I'm not power washing the inside, it's the outside. While cleanliness is considered a virtue, having a germ fixation is not. And there are many people who have that. But if you clean your house too thoroughly or with the wrong kind of products, you could be harming your health. So, over particular concern is really being way too zealous with potent disinfectants that kill 99% of common bacteria. I mean, the pandemic really has had a long term impact and people are using stronger disinfectants now. But studies reveal that the air inside our homes is actually more polluted than the air outside. So, a portion of the toxins that are inside our house are coming from household cleaners because household cleaners contain scores of chemicals that are linked to health problems, including those that affect our breathing. So, the risks depend on the dose. So it's worthwhile to reduce your chemical exposure as much as possible. Now, researchers have really been looking into the risks and how it is better to clean your house effectively and protect yourself and those around you. Now, one of the things that I use a lot of, and it is considered, I think, fairly healthy, is just alcohol. I just use alcohol and not drinking alcohol. Well, I suppose you could use it. It might be sticky though. But just, 70 or 90% alcohol that you get at the local CVS or, whatever pharmacy or hardware store. And it really does a wonderful job on tile, on marble, on granite, any kind of stone. It's a great cleaner. For lots of pots and pans, if you cut a lemon in half, the lemon juice just really works well. So always think about some natural ways that you can clean. Now, if you want to have your products, and of course we all have some, maybe you just want to get a multi-purpose cleaner instead of getting one for glass, another for the bathtub, and so on. Reevaluate your product arsenal to find places to cut back. And you can swap out things. Instead of a kitchen cleaner, use dish soap and water for most things. I mean, that's good on your counters. It's good on floors. It really is a safer choice. Disinfect when it's necessary. Most of the time, soap and water work just fine because soap is really good at grabbing greasy stuff. And if you need something stronger, alcohol-based products and ones without added chemicals for killing germs are the way to go. And as I said, I just like using the plain alcohol. I mean, it disinfects and it doesn't harm you. Now, it's considered, experts say that try to consider bleach alternatives. I have to say, I do like bleach. I usually put a little bit in toilets, and I always put a drop or two in the 7 fountains I have to keep them clean. They're recirculating, and just a couple of drops is really good to keep all the algae and stuff away. But bleach can be harmful if it's used too often or improperly. The other thing I like hydrogen peroxide. It's really effective, and the pure forms break down into water and oxygen. So it's easy to remove from surfaces. It's easy to remove hydrogen peroxide from surfaces. Now, if you use bleach on something, it could actually bleach it. It could leave a white spot, or it could leave a residue. Another thing that is organic, good, and most people have it, is just distilled white vinegar. That's inexpensive. It breaks up dirt with less risk than bleach. It's not as powerful, but it really does work well for many, many things. Now, but one thing to consider is whatever you choose, follow the precautions and avoid mixing products, and never combine bleach with vinegar or ammonia or products that have hydrogen peroxide, like a toilet bowl cleaner. You could have a chemical reaction, it could release toxic gases, it could even make an explosion. So be careful, just don't mix things. Use one thing at a time. The next thing is, it's best to go fragrance free unless you are making the fragrance. People really seem to like cleaners that have a fresh scent, like it smells like pine needles or lemon. And the reward for battling the dirt is that lovely fragrance. However, those chemicals are usually responsible for the volatile organic compounds, VOCs, which are potentially problematic. Fragrance-free cleaners release fewer VOCs. Now, if you are really craving a fresh smell, you could simmer a pot of water, put your favorite herbs and spices in. You could make even like one of those cinnamon and apple. It kind of make it smells good. Or if you really want something that has fragrance in it, make your own with some lavender or some the citrus rind, or even you could use some pine, to try to see how that works for you. The final thing is, make sure to air out your space. People can further reduce their exposure by circulating the air during and immediately after cleaning. So open the windows, run fans. If you have air conditioning or an HVAC system, turn it on. You really want to get that air circulating to move all the chemicals out of the space, or as many as possible. And also, don't forget to protect your skin and your airwaves while you are cleaning. Wear gloves and wear a mask. If you have an N95 mask, that's going to work really well. So, limit use of sprays that contain any chemicals that are called quats. That's quaternary ammonium compounds, because these quats are so easily inhaled, and they cause irritation, and they can also cause an endocrine disruption. So you got to be careful. And even sprays without quats could harm your health if you breathe them in too much. I'm sure that you've had that experience of, you know, um, pouring or spraying some kind of chemical, and oh my gosh, and then it is like you want to cough. So spray it into a cloth first and then wipe down the surfaces. Also, I am not a fan of all at all of these room fresheners that you can buy, and a lot of them are, at dollar stores and stuff, that they say that they're different nice fragrances, tropical, or again lavender or rose or something. But again, those are all chemicals, and they can really make you sick. Again, if you want a nice smell in your house, either put together some potpourri or make your own essential oil with fragrant flowers from your garden, or again, put that pot of water on the stove and add herbs and nice smelling ingredients like, allspice or cloves, something like that, and then you'll be fine. So just go ahead and get your house nice and sparkling clean, but protect yourself while you're doing it. Well, I want to do my miracle moment, which I normally do between the shows. So I'm going to give you, not my miracle moment, I want to do a business bite. So I'm going to do that business bite right now for you. Do you know what non-financial sales incentive is most effective with employees? If you said trips, you'd be in agreement with 85% of the population. Here are the incentives that the majority of the workforce want in order of importance. Yes, trips, any kind of travel thing, face-to-face recognition, entertainment, including dinners, sports events, tickets to an event or a play or a performance, merchandise, awards and plaques, and of course, mention in the company newsletter and even a letter, a direct letter. The number one priority of employees is to work in professions they love, with people they respect, where they feel they are making a contribution. Getting a trip as a reward is the icing on the cake. Just remember, you're the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another business bite from Starstyle. For more information, visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Cynthia Brian, Brian with an I.com. And that is our show for today. So make sure you're tuned in to Voice America and Starstyle-Be the Star You Are every week with me, Cynthia Brian. And also tune in to Express Yourself Teen Radio, which also airs on the Voice America Network Empowerment Channel with our teen hosts and reporters. For more information about Be the Star You Are, visit bethestarur.org. If that's too much to remember, just use the initials btsya.org. To find out more about my books or Cynthia Brian or Star Style Productions, visit cynthiabrian.com. My aim is always to encourage, inspire, inform, amuse, and motivate. See beyond your physical being. Know you already are the star you dreamed of becoming. Cherish the past, dream of the future, and celebrate every moment of your life, because that's all we have is moments. And read a book this week. It's like a garden in your pocket. And until we are together again next week, playing on the Star Style Playground, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, and smiles will keep us happy. I'm Cynthia Brian for Star Style. I thank you and encourage you to be your unapologetically authentic self. Be generous, encourage others, love unconditionally, embrace cultures, live with integrity, tell the truth, be inclusive, be kind, communicate, collaborate, and innovate. Remember that everyone counts. Everyone is important.